So Govan, the ANC is not willing to budge on this decision. Why?
Yeah, it was a hotly contested decision in the NEC, Shahan, and it's not willing to budge because of the amount of time which has lapsed since the officials Florence Radzelani and Daniel Caesar were suspended 2 years ago. So they were implicated in the report by Advocate Terry Mutau, the great bank heist, about the looting of the VBS bank. And they were suspended shortly after, but since then nothing has come of it. Daniel Caesar at one point also said that he was considering challenging the report in court, but of course that didn't happen. And now, just 2 weeks after those arrests of 8 people who were allegedly involved in the looting of VBS Bank, the ANC says that it wants Msiza and Radzelani to return to their positions with immediate effect. But along with this, it says that it wants the Hawks to continue investigating the VBS looting scandal, and particularly the people behind the murders of some of the beneficiaries of the VBS Bank and people who deposited their money. So the ANC says it's not an insult to the people of Limpopo who lost their money because of VBS looting, but it has no choice but to reinstate Daniel Caesar and Florence Radzelani because they are innocent until proven otherwise. Let's have a look at the Secretary General.
These comrades have not been charged by anybody. These comrades, in terms of the allegations, they were mentioned in several reports. Like many comrades were mentioned in reports, you can't charge people because of allegations. And therefore, that's why we said after almost 2 years, these comrades must come back. But we are sensitive to the fact that during this VBS issue, a lot of people died. Some people died. And we are actually calling upon the law enforcement agencies to swiftly act against the perpetrators who might have participated in killing some of the people who stay around that area.
And Govan, of course, we know thousands of people look set to lose their jobs. Our economy is not doing very good because of COVID-19. The ANC is talking about a proposal for a permanent grant for the unemployed. Tell us more.
It's the basic income grant, which has been touted by the ANC for a number of years now, specifically by COSATU as well. And it seems as though the basic income grant for the unemployed, which is due to end in October, would serve as some sort of pilot to see whether it's feasible for South Africa to introduce a permanent basic income grant for the unemployed. But it is something being seriously looked at by the ANC's structures, and it says it wants a report to the NEC as soon as possible. Let's have a look again at what Ace Magashule had to say.
We introduced social measures to mitigate the impact on the pandemic, such as food relief, increasing grants, and special COVID-19 grant. Although these measures made a difference, given the devastating economic impact expected, the pandemic unfolds. We must look at additional measures to broaden the social safety net and provide for the dignity of all South Africans. And hence we call upon society and all South Africans to take care, to make sure that they understand that this pandemic does actually kill. The National Executive Committee therefore tasked the Social Transformation Committee and Economic Transformation Committee to urgently meet to look at the feasibility and the detailed modalities of basic income grant, including the costing and financing of this measure, and to report to the National Working Committee as soon as possible.
And Govan, what's the discussion looking like around the elections?
The ANC wants the local government elections to be moved to 2024, wants to synchronize the elections so that we vote for all spheres of government at the same time. And this is a proposal that's being brought forward because of the coronavirus, but also one that requires an amendment to the Constitution. And the ANC saying in this regard, it'll speak to all the parties in Parliament to make this happen. Among them, of course, the EFF, who have already indicated their support for a move to postpone next year's local government elections. Here's Ace Magashule once again.
If the COVID conditions continue, will be directed by the IEC, will be directed by the courts as to whether it's possible to postpone because of conditions of COVID. If conditions are not okay for us to continue with elections. We have no choice but to ensure that we have elections of local government in 2021. But indeed, we are calling for synchronized elections, one single elections by all spheres, and we are saying obviously it will need the amendment to the Constitution, and if you have to amend the Constitution, we will engage other parties. EFF has also made a point about one single elections. Of course, there are many other parties, those who are in Parliament, we'll engage with them, and if we agree, obviously, we shall have to amend the Constitution. And as South Africans, I'm sure it might be better to have one single elections because you can actually deal with many, many other issues, including party funding.
All right, we're going to leave it right there. Govan Whittles is in our newsroom in Johannesburg.